People say betrayal comes like a storm, loud, sudden, destructive, but in my life, betrayal came quietly. Soft footsteps, small shadows, a mother's smile hiding a knife. Growing up, I was always the steady one, the responsible son, the quiet boy who held the house together while my older sister, Mira, lived in a spotlight specially handcrafted for her. Mom adored her, the pretty, charming, talkative daughter who won hearts effortlessly. If Mira wanted something, Mom moved mountains. If I achieved something, Mom barely lifted her eyes. Still, I loved them. I carried their weight silently. I worked part-time jobs through college, skipped vacations, and saved money for my future. My dream was simple, a small apartment of my own, somewhere peaceful, somewhere that belonged to me. But slowly the universe started whispering warnings. It began with envelopes, thick, brown, serious-looking envelopes addressed to me. I assumed they were promotional junk. I left them unopened. Then came the calls, unknown numbers flashing across my screen, insisting I verify account details or discuss urgent payment issues. I always hung up. Why would I, a man who barely had a credit card, need to talk to any bank? But one call changed everything. The man on the line spoke in a calm, practiced tone. "Sir, we need to discuss the mortgage you're behind on. 3 months overdue. A house loan of $500,000. I felt my entire body go cold. "Sorry," I said shakily. "You've got the wrong person." He read my name, my social security number, my date of birth. Every word hit like a hammer. My legs felt weak, my chest tightened. My hands trembled so hard I almost dropped the phone. When the call ended, I stood in the middle of my office, feeling like the floor had disappeared beneath me. I spent the rest of the day in a fog, unable to focus on anything except the same question pounding through my head. How could I have a $500K mortgage I never signed for? By evening, panic had grown claws inside my chest. I rushed home, desperate for comfort, hoping Mom would calm me down, tell me it was a mistake. Instead, she barely glanced up from chopping vegetables. "Aiden, can't this wait? I'm busy." It was strange. She didn't even seem surprised by my trembling voice. But that night, as I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, I felt something shift inside me, a quiet dread, a whisper of truth I didn't want to believe. Something was wrong, terribly, terribly wrong. And by the next morning, my life would never be the same again. The next morning, I walked into the bank with my heart pounding so loudly I could hear it in my throat. The lobby smelled like cold air, and polished floors too clean, too calm for the disaster unraveling inside my life. A manager guided me to a small glass office, his expression tight, cautious, as if he already knew this conversation would ruin someone's day. He placed a thick folder in front of me. "Mr. Aiden, these are your loan documents." My hands shook as I opened it. Pages and pages of legal agreements, payment schedules, verification forms, and then I saw it, my signature. Except it wasn't mine. The curves were wrong, the slant was off, the letters too neat, too practiced. "That's not me," I whispered. The manager nodded slowly, almost sympathetically. "We suspected identity fraud, so we checked our files." He clicked a button on his computer, and a video popped up, CCTV footage from the day of the loan signing. My world stopped there. Sitting confidently across from the loan officer was my mother, signing document after document with a calm smile. She even joked with the banker. She even used my name. I stared at the screen, frozen, feeling the shards of my heart cut through my chest. "This is her," I said numbly. "Yes," the manager replied gently. "She brought your ID, your information, everything necessary." The drive home felt unreal. The world outside my windshield looked distorted, like I was watching life through broken glass. When I walked into the house, I found my mother and Mira casually watching a drama, laughing at something on the screen. "How could you use my name for a $500,000 loan?" I asked, my voice so weak it barely escaped my mouth. Mom didn't flinch. She didn't deny it. She didn't apologize. Instead, she sighed loudly, annoyed. "Aiden, don't be dramatic." I stared at her, confused, broken. "You forged my signature. You used my identity. You're a man now, she snapped. You should help your family. Mira needs a home. She's getting married soon. Mira smirked. It's not like you were going to buy a house anyway. Their words stabbed deeper than any physical wound. They weren't sorry. They weren't scared. They acted like I owed them this betrayal. Hours later, alone in my room, I broke down. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. My breathing came in gasps. The bank's warning echoed in my head, foreclosure. Legal action, debt, damage, they had destroyed my future without blinking, and somehow they expected me to thank them. But as the night grew darker, something inside me hardened. If they could betray me, I could fight back. I didn't sleep that night. My mind kept replaying my mother's voice, Mira's smirk, the forged signature, the bank's warnings. Every breath felt heavier than the last. By dawn, something inside me had changed. The fear was still there, but beneath it, something sharper had awakened. Determination. I wasn't going to drown for a crime I didn't commit. The first thing I did that morning was search for a lawyer. Most offices were closed, some too expensive, others fully booked. But finally, I found someone Clara knew in, a fraud and identity theft specialist. When I walked into her office, I must have looked like a ghost. Tell me everything, she said gently. For the first time I did. Every detail, every lie, every moment of betrayal. She listened without interrupting, her expression becoming firmer with each word. Aiden, she said when I finished, this isn't just family conflict. This is federal-level fraud. Your mother committed identity theft. That loan is not your responsibility. Just hearing those words made my chest loosen. But then she added, we'll need evidence, everything you can get. So began the longest weeks of my life. Together, we collected the bank CCTV footage handwriting comparisons, my real signatures, my employment and financial record statements from bank staff, confirming my mother's presence, a timeline, proving I was at work during the loan signing. Then came the hardest part, filing a police report against my own mother. My hands trembled signing the papers, but Clara's steady voice reminded me, she didn't treat you like a son when she stole your identity. The investigation damaged everything in my life. My credit tanked, my salary was threatened with garnishment. Debt collectors called day after day, demanding money for a house I didn't live in. Meanwhile, Mom and Mira lived comfortably in the very home built on my destroyed name, posting selfies in the marble kitchen, hosting dinners, acting like queens, not one apology, not 1 ounce of guilt. They believed I would fold like always. They thought I was still the quiet son who tolerated everything. But then the lawsuit was ready. Clara slid the final document across the table. This will freeze the property, trigger legal action, and initiate eviction. Are you ready? My heart pounded. Yes. A week later, at 6 a.m, a sheriff knocked on Mira's front door. I stood across the street, hidden behind my car as the cold dawn air wrapped around me. Mira opened the door, groggy and yawning until she saw the envelope. Her scream echoed through the neighborhood. Mom rushed out, hair wild, shouting my name into the empty street. They had no idea I was watching. And for the first time in my life, I didn't feel powerless. Court day arrived with a cold gray sky. It matched perfectly how I felt inside, numb, tense, and ready. I sat in the back of the courtroom, hands clenched, watching as my mother and Mira entered. They both carried airs of confidence, pretending everything was normal. Mom's eyes darted around. Clutching her purse like it was a shield. Mira, dressed in designer clothes, waved at someone in the gallery as if she were attending a show, not facing the destruction of her life. The judge called the case. Clara, my lawyer, presented the evidence meticulously, CCTV footage, the forged signatures, statements from bank staff, and my detailed timeline proving my absence on the day of the loan signing. Every lie, every fraud, every deceit was laid bare. Mom tried to speak, to beg, to cry. Her words were empty. Mira shouted, blaming everyone but herself, her voice trembling with a mixture of fear and rage, but the evidence was unshakable. Their attempts to twist the truth fell apart under scrutiny, leaving them exposed and humiliated. The judge leaned forward, voice firm. Identity theft and fraud are serious crimes. You have not only destroyed your son's financial life, but have also attempted to manipulate the system for your gain. The court rules in favor of the plaintiff. You are ordered to repay the full loan amount, cover all legal fees, and vacate the property immediately. Criminal charges will proceed." Time seemed to stop. Mom's knees buckled. Mira's face turned as pale as the courtroom walls. Their screams and pleas filled the room, but no one could undo the judgment. Justice at last had been served. I did not smile, not out of cruelty, but out of relief. Years of fear, stress, and betrayal were finally being acknowledged. After court, Mom tried to approach me, tears streaking her face. "Aiden, we're family. How could you do this?" she begged, her voice shaking. I looked at her, not with hatred, but with clarity. "You did this to yourself," I said quietly. "You boarded your greed onto my future and expected me to drown with you." I walked away, leaving behind the chaos, the anger, and the betrayal. For the first time, I felt free. I had reclaimed my life. It took months to rebuild my credit, to repair the emotional wound.